And as we are back live at Lansdowne Park in Ottawa, the British Columbia Lion cheerleaders behind me on the subject of figure skating. Don't forget, Sports Weekend will have the World Junior Championships next month. And then live in March of 1989, CBC will cover the World Championships in Paris, France. Politics, as well as football, a major topic of discussion in this city. Right now, we say good afternoon to political satirist Jack McPartland. McPartland interested in both politics and football.
I'm the only guy in Ottawa these days who's not playing games, whether it's up here on Parliament Hill, the place that time forgot, or down at Lansdowne Park where the Rough Riders play football the way we'd all like to forget. I'm Jack McPartland. The reason Canadians voted for free trade is because they all seem to think that we can drive to the United States, load the trunks of our cars up with hair dryers, TVs, toasters, and come back and don't pay any duty on these things. What's so great about that? We've been doing it for years. Actually, what free trade means is an unlimited access to supply for the United States of our oil, gas, water, and in return, we get an autographed copy of Jimmy Swaggart and Tammy Faye Baker singing Just a Closer Walk with Thee. Why did Quebec reject that broadband? Well, if you want to send a hush puppy from Oshawa down to Chibougamau or St. Louis the Ha-Ha, who speaks French as though he had a correspondence course from Louisiana and looks like a government inspector for a state-run corduroy factory, you're not going to score any points at all. Secondly, John Turner had all his suits with rear-view mirrors on the shoulders, so when he yelled, "Follow me," he could check to see if anybody was. Thirdly, the Prime Minister has been spouting off that he's a self-made man, which of course relieves the Almighty of a terrible responsibility. The only other national ritual that commands as much of our attention as an election, of course, is the Grey Cup. That's where millions of Canadians pay through the nose to watch a bunch of high school dropouts from the United States kick each other around for 60 minutes. It sounds like an average day in the House of Commons to me. If, however, this sounds confusing, just bear in mind that football players pat each other on the behind after each play and congratulate themselves. Politicians, on the other hand, pat each other's wallet after each day's work. Football players know if they lose, they'll get traded away. Mulroney's version was to win and trade the country away. Ottawa doesn't have a dome stadium, and that's too bad, because conceivably this could be the last Grey Cup held here. However, I would suggest that we use the House of Commons as a dome stadium for football, and we put roller derby and professional wrestling on in the Senate chamber. Even that's something the Americans could understand.
That is political satirist Jack McPartland, and as I say, you can't come to this city without talking politics at least some of the time. Still to come this afternoon, as we continue live here from Lansdowne Park, we'll show you highlights of the greatest Grey Cup game ever played. Ted Reynolds and Terry Leibel standing by at the Royal Winter Fair, and Ken Reed talks skiing as we begin a skiing season with a first Reed report. Also, Don Whitman is here in the booth with me. He'll call the game tomorrow on CBC. He will give us his thoughts about the 1988 Grey Cup game as Sports Weekend continues live from our national capital, the BC Lion cheerleaders. Hi, ladies. How you doing? We'll be right back. And we take a look live at the sunset here in our national capital on this Saturday afternoon. Great shot there by cameraman Joe Zamborski. Lots more to come. We're live in Sports Weekend. Right now, let's go back 1 year ago to the greatest Grey Cup game ever played. Last year under the dome, it was the battle of the second-place teams, the Eastern Argonauts and the Eskimos from the West, each winning on the road to come to Vancouver. One of the best Grey Cups ever started innocently enough with a Lance Shamrock field goal try late in the first quarter. Henry the Gizmo Williams collected the wide try, and he got the dome rocking with his cross-country sprint through the Argonauts. Gizmo en route to a spot in the record book, putting 6 points on the board with his 115-yard run back, the first of a series of electrifying plays. After the teams traded field goals, the Argos got going. Gilbert Renfro finds Gil Fennerty, and the thrill was gone, picking up 6 points as the Argos tied the score at 10 on this 61-yard play. Renfro and Fennerty combined via the ground route on another second quarter major. 4 yards and an abrupt halt for Fennerty, giving the Argonauts their first lead. Less than 2 minutes later, the Argo defense sacks Matt Dunnigan, handing Doug Landry a golden opportunity, which he handily converted into 6 more points, a 54-yard romp, and a 14-point Toronto lead. Edmonton's comeback began with Damon Allen in place of the injured Dunnigan in the final minute of the first half. Allen finds an uncovered Marco Sinkar in the end zone. The Toronto momentum had been halted. Yes, the Eskimos were back in it, reducing their deficit to 7. 41 points in the opening half, a lot more to come. Early in the fourth quarter, Edmonton trailing by 6. Allen searching for the equalizer. He will hit the incomparable Brian Kelly just in the end zone. Then he is forced back, but it is good for 6. And the convert puts Edmonton in the lead 28-27. Unbelievable. And Argo March is halted at the 25. Shamek hits from 32 yards, giving Toronto a 2-point lead. Midway through the fourth quarter, Allen takes matters into his own hands, skirting the Toronto defense and diving in. The 17-yard major puts the Eskimos on top again, 35-30. The sellout crowd went absolutely crazy. Less than 3 minutes remaining. Danny Barrett at the quarterback. And the quarterback draw waltzes untouched into the end zone. The 25-yard touchdown puts Toronto on top by a point. The spirit of Christmas was in the air in BC. Would it be Toronto or Eskimos, though, with the greatest gift of all?
So this is what it's all about. If he puts this one through, that might be what it's all about.
That's what it's all about indeed, Ronnie Lancaster. Edmonton's Jerry Korek had the final say. A 49-yard field goal attempt with 45 seconds to go is good. Edmonton with the last shot before time would run out. The greatest Grey Cup game in history produces Edmonton's 10th CFL title.
To the Edmonton Eskimos, Grey Cup champions for 1987.
And joining me live in the studio is the voice of CBC Sports, who called the game last year, Don Whitman. Your first Grey Cup was when?
Brian, I hate to admit to this, but it goes all the way back to 1961. And that was my first ever trip to a Grey Cup game, and I had the thrill of describing the overtime victory by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers over the Hamilton Tiger Cats, the only Grey Cup overtime game in history.
Was that game last year the best you've ever seen?
The best Grey Cup game I've ever been involved in. Ron Lancaster and I talked for length after the game about the excitement, the plays that we were witness to and that we were able to describe. Let's hope that tomorrow's game is every bit as good and that we have weather conditions as excellent as today. Why are you wearing the coat, by the way?
Now listen, let me straighten you folks out on this. Whitman came up here with a ski jacket that's 10 feet thick, but he took it off 30 seconds before he went on the air. What do you mean, what am I wearing this? It's cold. You get out of here in 2 minutes.
I suppose if you've been here all afternoon, it is a little chilly, yes.
All right, tell me about the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. You're from Winnipeg. Mike Riley has done an outstanding job with all the defections for whatever reason at the beginning of the year.
He has, but Mike, I think, would be the first to admit that General Manager Cal Murphy provided him with the tools. And I think the most satisfied individual on that Winnipeg Blue Bomber roster and organization this season would be the general manager, because he lost people such as Willard Reeves. Jeff Boyd was traded to Toronto. He lost Tyrone Jones, Roy Bennett, Scott Flagle, all stars. And he had to replace them. And many people didn't give Winnipeg much of a chance, and many perceived Cal Murphy as being something of a tightwad because of the budgetary restraints the teams had to cut back, and they had to live within that salary cap. And a lot of people felt that Cal didn't do his utmost to try and sign some of these departed stars. But he was able to replace them. He said the biggest problem he had was replacing the man who stood behind the center, Tom Clements, and he kept hoping that Tom would be back. He signed Roy DeWalt. He had a number of quarterbacks in camp before they finally, by accident, wound up with Sean Salisbury as the quarterback. You're aware, of course, of the Tom Mickey injury that preceded the first game by Sean Salisbury. Mickey's never been able to get back.
I have to get a quick prediction before we go.
I think it's going to be a very good game. I think it will be a very close game, and I look for a score something like 28-24.
All right, Don, we look forward to the game tomorrow afternoon. Don will call the game, and you can go put on your coat now as we continue live here from Lansdowne Park this afternoon. A lot more to come. We've promised that we are going to be talking with many of the players, past and present. We also have a panel discussing the future of this troubled Canadian Football League. But right now, let's begin with the players. And we start with the quarterbacks. Here is Steve Armitage with British Columbia's Matt Dunnigan.
With me now, the quarterback of the BC Lions, Matt Dunnigan. Matt, you're no stranger to the Grey Cup. This is your third straight appearance. Does it get any easier in terms of handling the pressure?
I think it does. I think you know what to expect, and so therefore you're not as in the dark about things and the day's events and the week's events. But certainly it's still a challenge to get through the week.
Matt, I think you'd be the first to agree that last year wasn't your greatest game with the Edmonton Eskimos in the Grey Cup final. How much does it mean to you this year to have a good game and win it with the Lions?
It means a lot. It'll make or break the season, I believe, for the Lions. You know, that's certainly what you strive for from day one, and we have an opportunity to reach our goal tomorrow, and we're going to try to do everything possible to do that.
The club has played so well in the past 4 or 5 weeks. What has been the difference?
Attitude, a simple adjustment of attitude. That's all you can say. That's all you can do. Football's a game of emotion and attitude, and you can come out there with outs and curls, and if they're covering your outs, so curls, and come out there with 2 plays and should be able to move the football down the field if you have the proper attitude.
Give me a prediction, high or low-scoring game?
A high-scoring game, of course.
Matt Dunnigan, the starting quarterback for the BC Lions. Now let's go to Scott Oak, who's standing by with the starting quarterback of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
And he is Sean Salisbury. Sean, 6 months ago, you didn't even know what the Grey Cup was all about. A day to go before the game. Do you have a better idea?
A much better idea. It's been a fine week, and it's been very nice. And I think the media is one of those, I wouldn't call it overwhelming, but being in a situation like this, you can never imagine it. And they've been very fair, and it's been great. And it's been a good week of preparation for us, because that's what we're here to do, is play the football game. And it's been a lot of fun, and we're anxious to get going.
In practice today, I saw you trying on a Grey Cup ring that belongs to Kevin O'Donovan, the Bombers' director of PR. Did that give you a better idea of what the Grey Cup means?
It's a great idea. That's what it's all about. You know, people say the money, and sure, we like the money, but I'll tell you what, we'd all play this game for free. I would, and I know the rest of the guys would, simply because it's great pride. And to go home in the off season with that win under your belt is a lot to build on for next year, and also just the pride factor in going back home. And I'm going to take a lot of pride in this game, and I look forward to putting a ring on my finger. I really do.
I thought you guys were very loose and relaxed in practice today versus the way you approached the other 3 practices here in Ottawa.
I think when we've been out here and had to get business done, we've had to take care of business, and we have. And today is one of those days. It's a mental day to sew up some final details, and we're very loose, and we need to be. That's our game, is to come out and play loose and not press too much. But the previous 3 days, we've got business taken care of, and we're ready to go. Away from the football field, we're very loose and relaxed.
Quickly, Sean, do you agree, as everybody else seems to, that the key to tomorrow's game is you being protected, having time to operate against the BC Lions?
I think that's part of the key, and I think our team will be able to do that. They're going to come with a lot of different pressure defenses and blitzes and play some man and play some zone, but I think we're prepared to combat them with what we have. And I think another key is us being able to keep the ball out of Matt Dunnigan's hands, and our defense will do a good job. It's going to be one of those games that's going to go down to the wire and probably won by a field goal, but I'd sure like it to be able to be a situation where we can kneel down at the end of the game.
All right, thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
Good luck. Appreciate it. Sean Salisbury, impromptu shower delivered by Willie Fears, I think, the starting quarterback.
Hopefully a sign to come, huh?
Yeah, the starting quarterback for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers tomorrow. Brian?
Scott, I'll tell you, a sign of things to come indeed, as rain is forecast for here in the Ottawa area this afternoon. The public address system's been turned up. They're rehearsing for the halftime show here in Lansdowne Park. Lots more football to come this afternoon in Sports Weekend, our panel discussion about the future of the Canadian Football League. And I will take you inside the spectacular new Sky Dome in Toronto, site of the 1989 Grey Cup. Up next, we are going to shift gears and talk skiing. Ken Reid with a first Reid report of this 88-89 season. Stay with us as we continue live on Sports Weekend from Ottawa on this Saturday afternoon. Lots more to come. It is starting to get dark here in the capital. Sports Weekend continues live from Lansdowne Park on this, the eve of the 88 Grey Cup. Some of the cheerleaders out practicing, the players practice, and the cheerleaders practice as well. If you are just joining us, a very pleasant good afternoon. I'm Brian Williams. Welcome to CBC Sports Weekend. The Royal Winter Fair is yet to come, and there's a lot more football talk from here in our nation's capital. We are going to shift gears, though, because next week on Sports Weekend, we begin our exclusive coverage of World Cup skiing. And, of course, one of the most popular of all features is our ski report, the Reid Report, which is heard each week during the season. And from Europe, Here's my partner, Ken Reed. To Ottawa, just after 4:30 in the afternoon, people heading home from the parade. A tremendous crowd for the parade today as we come back to our booth live in the southwest corner here at Lansdowne Park on what has been a sunny and warm Saturday afternoon. Rain and warm temperatures forecast for the game tomorrow. Speaking of skiing, just a reminder, 1 week from today, the newest member of our sports team, the Queen of the Downhills, Lori Graham, will join Scott Oak. They will call the women's race from Val d'Isère. 1 week from tomorrow, Ken Reed and I will have the men's opener, also from Val d'Isère, France. Lots of football to come yet today. We have a roundtable discussion on the future of the Canadian Football League. And up next, I will take you inside what could be the most spectacular stadium of any kind anywhere in the world. Stay with us as we continue live. A look at the capital on this Saturday afternoon. Getting a little cold here now after the warm sunshine. One year from now, Sports Weekend will come to you from here in the spectacular new Sky Dome in Toronto, the site of Grey Cup '89. Chuck Magwood is the president of the Sky Dome Corporation. We're going to talk about this great facility in just a minute, but I think the first question has to be, Chuck, when is the official opening here in Toronto?
Opening ceremonies are June 3rd next year, and the first Blue Jay game is the following Monday, which is June the 5th.
So that means the entire CFL season will be played here?
The full CFL season will be. The Argos have an exhibition game late June, and the season starts at the end of June, so the full season will be here as well as next year's Grey Cup.
All right, now the CFL is having some trouble attracting fans. The feeling is the Argonauts are going to, at least in the beginning, attract a great windfall here.
Well, I think it's going to be a very exciting place for football. It's an exciting place for anything, and we support the Argonauts 100%, and we'll be behind them in promoting the game and making it a very exciting place to come and watch football, whether it's promoting where you can come and stay, which is in our hotel, or what's happening on the field.
All right, let's talk about this spectacular stadium. Right now, it's a warm day. We're outside. The dome roof is up behind us. Now, I understand it will be this open. A lot of people tend to think that there will be an overhang over the seats, even when the roof is off. But when the roof is back, will it be as open as it is today?
Yeah, it's just like this. It's open. It's a nice day. We're in the sun, and that's for all the seats. Most of our seats are between the foul poles for baseball and are really between the goal lines for football. So they're all good seats, and they're in the open. And I think one thing that surprises people like you who've just come here, Brian, is that it has a sense of intimacy. It really is tight. It's almost a theatrical feel. It's not, you're not far from whatever's happening. So here we are, way up in the air, as high as we'll ever be, and yet what's happening on the field, we can reach out and touch it.
I can't imagine this. It's wide open. You can look up and see the CN Tower. I guess if you had good eyesight, you could have lunch up there and look down into the stadium.
Oh, you can. It's it's pretty far up there, but it's an incredible sight. We went over this last year in the blimp and looked down on the stadium. And what we are is we're part of an incredibly busy part of what's happening in the city. There's 200 acres of land right downtown in Toronto that are being all redeveloped, all as part of the railway lands.
Well, let me just say that I covered the Olympics, of course, in South Korea. They were the best stadiums I've ever seen anywhere in the world. This is the equal of anything I saw in Seoul. Congratulations, good luck, and I'm sure we'll talk to you again as the opening day draws near.
Thanks very much, Brian. Pleasure.
And joining me this afternoon here at Lansdowne Park, the outgoing commissioner of the Canadian Football League, Doug Mitchell. Doug, at your news conference earlier this week, you were animated, you were angry at times. I've never seen you like this as you talked about the state of the league as you get ready to exit.
Well, it was great, Brian. I just sort of went that way. It wasn't planned. Poor John Iaboni, when he signaled that's the end of the press conference, I said, no, let's keep going. But it worked out well. I thought the reaction was good. The interest was great. And I had a chance to say a few things.
Tell me a couple of those things, namely what you're proudest of, what you feel most disappointed about during your term as commissioner.
Well, I think obviously with league stability, we're now in a position with 6 community-owned teams that this year we cut our losses from last year by 50%, and I don't see any reason with our operating caps where next year, as a league, we shouldn't break even. So I think that the perception by the public that we've turned the corner as good financial operators, I think is probably the most important thing.
All right, let me talk about perception. There's a perception by the public the league is less than Major League in this country, and it seems to me the league shoots itself in the foot so often. Now, I know you want blackouts lifted. You're not responsible for that, but the league has to come to grips with some of these things they say they're going to do every year, and they don't.
Well, I think our blackout lifts have worked very well for us. When I first suggested lifting them, people in the league were totally opposed to them, and we were concerned that maybe nobody would be in the park. But I think that it's the greatest marketing tool we have is television, and we have to use it, particularly in the Toronto-Hamilton area.
All right. What about a major disappointment? Anything that you're disappointed about as you leave?
Well, I think that things went slower than I wanted them to. I think it took longer to do some of the things that we wanted to do from the initial outset of the league from the time that I joined it. But I think,
things like what?
Well, I think blackout lists took longer. I think we wanted to change our playoff format from the standpoint of the home club gets most of the money, the same format that the NHL uses. I think we'll do that now for next year so that our playoffs are a smashing success in the box office. But no, I don't think there are many things other than those.
I know you're not on the selection committee. Why no announcement about a new commissioner yet? Bill Baker and Roy McMurtry.
Well, I don't know who they are. I'll have to take.
That's who they are.
The chairman of the selection committee? Oh, okay. Well, what do you want me to say? Do you want me to comment on who they are or when?
Why no announcement?
Well, I think it should. Well, from the my personal standpoint, I want it to be made before. I don't think Grey Cup time was the appropriate time to make it, but it should have been done before. But now it'll be a continuous highlight during the course of the off season. So maybe in the long term, it's probably better for the league.
We have to go to Scott Oak. Are you going to buy the Toronto Maple Leafs? I keep hearing.
For a guy that has no money, people sure have me doing a lot of things.
All right, Doug. Congratulations. Been a good week here now.
Thanks a lot, Brian.
Let's go down to Scott Oak.
James Jefferson, cornerback for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, will have the huge responsibility tomorrow of covering the BC Lions' big deep threat, David Williams. Is it a huge responsibility?
That's a big responsibility. You know, David's a great athlete, and, you know, winning that award last night proved it. You know, everybody else thinks so, and I think so. I have, you know, a great respect for the guy, but I think he also respects me, so it's going to be a pretty good matchup tomorrow.
You faced him before and have been reasonably happy with how you fared against him.
Yeah, I've been, you know, pretty happy. I've been down, though, because he's done some stuff no other receivers have been able to do against me, and, you know, it's just something that's just a challenge. It's just something I have to sit down at night and think about and try to stop tomorrow.
In the last regular season game at BC Place, he did beat the Bombers deep twice early in the game. Is that the worst that could happen tomorrow?
The last game?
Yeah, regular schedule.
He beat us once deep. The second was a fade route, but I don't. You know, we got to eliminate that because any deep pass, you know, hurt the defense. So I'll be prepared for that, and you know, I know Dunnigan and Dave is going to go for that, and you just have to get back and watch out for it.
You feeling the pressure that everybody's placing on you heading into this game tomorrow?
Oh, there's no pressure. I don't like the pressure. I joke around and, you know, get away from it because when you get on the field, if you're all high-strung, you really can't do anything. I'm just sitting back, relaxing, and just waiting for the game to be here.
Redundant question, I guess, to ask a cornerback if he thinks it's going to be a high-scoring or low-scoring game. I know that you think the Lions are going to be on the low-scoring end of it, don't you?
Well, yeah, I think so, because if they're on the high-scoring end of it, we have to be on the higher-scoring end of it.
Yeah.
So I don't know about how high score is going to be. I know it's going to be a good game. Whoever plays the hardest and makes the least mistakes are going to win this game.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, Scott Oak, that interview, and of course the talk with Commissioner Doug Mitchell taped earlier today when it was still sunny and warm here at Lansdowne Park. As we are back live at our Sports Weekend control booth, still to come today, we will have a roundtable discussion on the future of this troubled Canadian Football League. Well, it's a busy afternoon. 1 week ago today, I was anchoring Sports Weekend from the 60th Royal Winter Fair in Toronto. Right now, let's take you back to the Royal, and joining us in Sports Weekend, Ted Reynolds and Terry Leibel.
1988 Grey Cup, a week of hijinks in Ottawa with parades, parties, and competitions, and recaps of years gone by. It all leads to the big event, the game on CBC. The BC Lions against Winnipeg, the Grey Cup game, tomorrow.
Awards.
If you like television, you'll love the Geminis.
We're celebrating the best in Canada.
Wednesday.
Reynolds and Terry Leibel as we come back to our Sports Weekend control booth. There it is in the southwest corner of Lansdowne Park here in Ottawa. It is Grey Cup Weekend 88. As Ted said, still more to come. The jump-off, they are going to reset the course, and while they do, we will update you on football. Just a reminder, Don Whitman and Ron Lancaster will join me. We'll talk hockey. Don't forget, Hockey Night in Canada coming up tonight at 8 Eastern. That is 5 Pacific. Up next, though, as we continue live from Ottawa on this Saturday afternoon, the eve of the 1988 Grey Cup, a roundtable discussion on the future of this troubled Canadian Football League. Stay with us. Sports Weekend will return live from the national capital right after this. And on this Saturday afternoon, the eve of Grey Cup 1988, we welcome you back to Ottawa. Always a center of activity at any Grey Cup is the hotel that is the headquarters for the media. This year it's here in the Radisson Hotel in downtown Ottawa. Joining me are three well-known columnists from across the country. We begin with Marty York from the Globe and Mail in Toronto, Scott Taylor from the Winnipeg Free Press, and from the West Coast and the Vancouver Sun, Archie McDonald. Archie, let me begin with you. All week long, we read stories, in particular here in the East, about the Lions' financial problems. They can't afford to buy breakfast. They can't afford to stay in hotels. They're not in tents. They are in a hotel. How bad is it?
Well, the stories are horror stories, and they seem to get scarier all the time. They lost $2.4 million last year. That brought their accumulated debt to more than $4 million. They're going to lose another $2 million this year, so that's more than $6 million in debt. That is pretty scary. Now, the board of directors, I'm sure, they're encouraged by their team's late season performance. They're in the Grey Cup. They are going to try to carry on. I think the fans, though, would like to see private ownership, and yesterday Commissioner Doug Mitchell said he would like to see it. This, of course, brought a reply from the president of the Lions saying he didn't want to see that. So the front page story, again, is Lions' troubles, and this is what's, I think, taking away from the Grey Cup.
The amazing thing in Scott and Winnipeg, too, is the stories that center on off-the-field activity. I mean, the Bombers beat the Hamilton Ticats in a playoff game, and they have less than 13,000 people in a good football city.
Yeah, it's always been a good football city, and it's a football city that's still, I think, interested, but it's not the same as it used to be. When we came back from Toronto after the Bombers won the Eastern Final, got off the plane, 3 young guys I know in Winnipeg who are real good football fans and sports fans were getting off a Northwest flight from Minneapolis. Now, that doesn't happen a lot, but these guys didn't even know the Bombers had won. I think attitudes are changing, and Winnipeg is still going to sell 20,000 season tickets next year. It's not going to be a bad city for football, but I don't think it's the compelling event that it used to be.
Speaking of compelling events, Marty York, you covered football for many years. You're now a columnist. You're back doing football, not on a regular basis, but you covered football for many, many years. What is the biggest change you've seen as a football person away from the game now returning to it?
I think, Brian, in the past, people used to talk about the league possibly on its deathbed, but we never really believed it. Now there's a fear that this league is really dying. Archie described the Lions' problems. There were only 12,000 at the Winnipeg game that you mentioned. I mean, it's no longer just a hypothetical situation. It's real. The league really may die. I was out with a couple of players with the Lions the other night, and they were catching themselves when they're saying, well, next year. I mean, if there is a next year.
All right, you're talking about the league maybe dying. To me, the irony of all ironies is, and correct me if I'm wrong, whether it's in BC, Winnipeg, Toronto, anywhere, the football is better this year than it's been in a long time. We've had some good football games in this country.
I think one of the things that happened that worked out to be good and they were worried about were the salary caps. And of course, every team hasn't been able to stay under the $3 million cap. But what it did was force teams to stop the airlifts. As soon as there was NFL cuts on the 1st of September, there were 60 new guys in each city, and you had a brand new football team, and the people that you'd come to watch for 2 months weren't there anymore. I mean, they would change teams. That hasn't happened because they couldn't afford to do it anymore, and what's happened in a lot of cities is we have a few now identifiable stars.
But what I'm getting at, Archie, is it is good football on the field.
It is very good football, and this is, I suppose, the one encouraging thing about this year is the Lions, for instance, trimmed $1.3 million from their player salaries, more from their front office, but for $1.3 million less, they have a better team than they had last year. Now, whether that's rock bottom, I don't know.
Marty?
Well, I'm not so sure that the Lions are a better team, but that's debatable. What I do believe is that the product itself is something that should be preserved. CFL has its own charm. It's a league that is unparalleled, and people in Canada, I still think, get somewhat romantic about it, especially at this time of year. Maybe they're not paying the money to come out and see the games anymore.
All right, it should be preserved. Can it be preserved?
I think it can be preserved, Brian, if the right people are there. I'm afraid that the dinosaurs have to go now.
By dinosaurs, you mean some of the people running the teams, whether it's Toronto or...
Absolutely.
All right.
Some of the people just are no longer able to... I mean, we've been hearing problems with marketing for several years now.
But we hear it every year.
Yeah, that's gone beyond that now. You need somebody who's got some vibrancy, somebody who's going to be able to make this league established all over again, for what it's worth.
I think, too, Brian, that the league has to get an identity back. What does it want to be? Does it want to be a minor league to the NFL? or does it want to be a Canadian football league? And I'm one of those people that believe there should be fewer imports and more Canadians playing. Now, maybe the product won't be as good, but I think it's an opportunity for Canadians to play football in their own country.
I keep hearing it's not as good as the National Football League, but let's be honest, it was never as good as the National. It was as entertaining.
No,
the players
Brian,
aren't as good, but the game is good.
That didn't kill it. What has really hurt the Canadian Football League was during the 70s and into the early 80s, when it had some money and had some support, there was a lot of people running the teams, throw out a name, Frank Cush, for instance, who were essentially sycophants. They were using the Canadian Football League to get back to the NFL. We need people that are committed, as Marty says, to preserving the Canadian Football League.
What about in Vancouver? We keep saying it should survive. Well, what is the mood in that city? The Lions lead the league in attendance. I know they're having financial problems, but they're a good team in the field. It seems to get big coverage out there.
Yes, and they're, I think, they averaged 32,000 fans this year, and I think that's probably bottom. I think that's where they have to look when they're, that's where the revenue is going to come from, 32,000 people. I think there's enough interest. Now, can they survive on 32,000 people? They do it around the rest of the league, so if they can get their finances in order, I think it could happen.
Scott?
Yeah, I think things will be fine with the Canadian Football League as long as they continue to cut costs. It was funny, Dr. Ross Brown of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers said that our bank's very happy. We're still going to lose $200,000 or $300,000, but we cut our costs. And if we cut our spending, then we can get everything else in line.
All right, we got to go. I want quick predictions. We got a game tomorrow. We've talked about the problems facing the CFL. And it's not that we're especially negative. This has been the topic that's dominated this week, unfortunately, but there are a couple of pretty good football teams. Archie, how do you see the game?
The Lions all the way. I think they're a good team, and they're on a roll right now.
A blowout?
No, I think Winnipeg's defense is too good for a blowout, but a touchdown, I'd say.
Scott Taylor from Winnipeg.
I like the Lions, and exactly as Archie said, they're on a roll, but I think Winnipeg's defense can keep them in the game. The offense still didn't score any touchdowns against Toronto, and I don't think they will against BC.
Marty?
Well, I'm going to be different. For some reason, I'm taking Winnipeg. I have a hunch. I'm really impressed with Mike Riley. I think he's a very good coach, and I also believe that they're possibly peaking at the right time, too. So, and not only that, but Matt Dunnigan, I don't think can win the big game.
I tell you what, talk about Riley. The CFL needs more people like Riley if it's going to survive. Thank you, Archie McDonald, Scott Taylor, Marty York. I was born in Winnipeg. My parents live in Vancouver. I have to go with the BC Lions. Stay with us. Sports Weekend will continue right after this.
Finchley.
Come back live to the Grey Cup City on this late Saturday afternoon. I am certainly looking forward to that World Junior Hockey. I'll be traveling north to Anchorage, Alaska, along with Don Whitman and Sherry Basson as we bring you 3 games live from the World Junior Tournament in late December and early January. If you're just joining us, good afternoon. I'm Brian Williams. Welcome back to Lansdowne Park. Don't forget our Grey Cup coverage begins tomorrow afternoon at 1 Eastern. That is 10 o'clock in the morning for you Lion fans on the West Coast. More football news to come today. Don Whitman and Ron Lancaster, who will call the Grey Cup tomorrow afternoon on CBC television, will join me live here in the park. Right now, let's take you back to Toronto, the jump-off at the Royal Winter Fair. Here are Ted Reynolds and Terry Leibel.
On CBC, the 1988 Grey Cup. A week of hijinks in Ottawa with parades, parties, and competitions, and recaps of years gone by. It all leads to the big event, the game on CBC. The BC Lions against Winnipeg, the Grey Cup game, tomorrow.
Reynolds and Terry Leibel, enjoy it. We did. A great 3 weeks at the Royal for Sports Weekend, and we look forward to returning in 1989. We have been live here at Lansdowne Park all afternoon, capturing some of the flavor that is Grey Cup 88. We've talked with the coaches, the quarterbacks. We've had live coverage of a very successful Grey Cup parade. We also, as is our case every year, taken a look at some of the festivities that are part of Grey Cup Week. Right now, let's take you back 2 nights and look at the 1988 Miss Grey Cup pageant.
I'd like to say good luck to all the girls, and I know that you're going to look back on this as a wonderful experience and probably one of the most memorable experiences of your life.
and very, very energetic and excellent representatives of their team. And I kind of felt like I was just along this for a good time in Ottawa at hometown, and I can't describe how I feel.
And late on this Saturday afternoon, you are watching Sports Weekend live from Ottawa. Stay with us. We'll return to Lansdowne Park. Don Whitman, Steve Armitage, and Scott Oak will join me, and we'll talk about tomorrow's football game as Sports Weekend will continue right after this. And as we return live to Sports Weekend Control, our studios here in the southwest corner of Lansdowne Park in Ottawa on this Saturday afternoon, Don Whitman, who will call the game tomorrow afternoon, rejoins me here in the booth. And with us on the field from Winnipeg, CBC Winnipeg, Scott Oak, and from CBC Vancouver, Steve Armitage. Don, let me begin with you.
I'm glad you're toughening up, Brian. If I'm taking you north to Alaska for the World Junior Hockey Tournament, got to be tough for that cold weather.
Whitman is the only guy that wears a big ski jacket, takes it off just before he goes to wear it, but I've been shamed into taking mine off. Some last-minute impressions.
Well, Brian, I just hope that the weather tomorrow is good. I hope that we have conditions equal to what we experienced today. The forecast indicates it could be wet, but it will be mild. However, that rain could cause some problems for both sides, but I would like to see conditions exactly as we have had today, and I think we could be treated to a tremendously exciting football game.
Well, speaking of the weather conditions, let's go down in the field, join Scott Oak and Steve Armitage. Scott, earlier today you talked with Mike Riley, the Bombers head coach, about the weather conditions. A lot's been made out of the fact he wants bad weather.
Brian, no one's more concerned over the likely prospect of rain here in Ottawa tomorrow than Steve Armitage and I, because we'll be on the sidelines. Yeah, I think you're right. I think Mike Riley would like to see the rain because, you know, they won a big game, an awfully big game in the rain last week in Toronto. Steve, I am looking for a much closer game than many people expect. The Winnipeg defense, I think, is good enough to keep this game close, although keeping that vaunted BC offense under control is a pretty tough job.
There's no question about that. Very few teams have been able to do that in the CFL this season once the BC Lions got on a roll. And I think the big difference is the fact that the Lions have been able to establish a running game. And I think if Winnipeg can stop that running game, then they might be able to win the ball game. What I want to know is why Whit and Brian get the heated booth upstairs and we have to work the sidelines. Gentlemen?
Yeah, we don't get the nice jackets.
Seniority.
It's not so warm up here. All right. Stay with us. Sports Weekend will continue live in just a minute. Don Whitman, of course, will call the game tomorrow with Ron Lancaster. And joining the telecast will be Steve Armitage and Scott Oak. Sports Weekend will continue live from the Grey Cup City right after this. Stay with us. And as we wrap it up on a Saturday afternoon, we come back live to Lansdowne Park at Ottawa. I'm Brian Williams. Sports Weekend has been on the move of late. For the previous 2 weeks, we were at the Royal Winter Fair in Toronto, and today our show being anchored from here in the Grey Cup City. There's a look at our booth. Freddie Nicolaitis, the man that gives me the orders, our production and technical people, as they prepare for the show tomorrow. Now, just a reminder, our show tomorrow will begin at 1 o'clock Eastern with the Countdown Show. That will be 10 o'clock in the morning for you Lion fans on the West Coast. It should be a very exciting Sunday. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers came into Toronto underdogs. The Argonauts, led by Gilbert Renfro, were supposed to waltz into the Grey Cup. They did not. Mike Riley deserves tremendous credit. He's an innovative coach, a refreshing change. He has personality and he's fun to be with. A good change for the Canadian Football League. Larry Donovan and the British Columbia Lions, of course, right now are considered the best team in the country as they defeated Saskatchewan and Edmonton. But don't forget, Winnipeg, the underdogs last week against the Toronto Argonauts. Just a reminder as we say good night from here in Ottawa here today, that Hockey Night in Canada will come up in 2 hours from now. That is at 8 Eastern. You will see one of 3 games tonight. Check local listings for the game and time in your area. And as we say so long from Lansdowne Park here in Ottawa, the site of the 1988 Grey Cup game, we take a look at some of the preparations, our crew getting ready for the telecast tomorrow. Again, it begins at 1 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern Time, 10 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast. For all of us, I'm Brian Williams. So long, everybody, from Sports Weekend Control today at Lansdowne Park in Ottawa.
this.
The BC Lions are the favorites to win tomorrow's Grey Cup game. The Lions are riding a winning streak into the Grey Cup, and the team plays an exciting brand of football. But that success just doesn't seem to be sparking enthusiasm on the West Coast.
Oh, Duggar!
There are some people here who have caught Grey Cup fever. These die-hard fans are flying to Ottawa to see the game. But for the most part, Vancouver's reaction to Sunday's final has been subdued. Are you excited about the Grey Cup game tomorrow?
No, but I usually do watch the Grey Cup, but I just can't even get involved in it this year.
No, not at all. I couldn't care less. I don't even know who's playing.
Canadian football is just dying, I guess.
I don't know. I sort of lost interest.
How come?
I don't know. I left the guy who watched it with me.
The manager of a local sports pub says even football fans have been low-key.
The excitement just hasn't been there like it has in the past in '85 and you know, even when the Grey Cup was here the past couple of years.
Weak fan support has plagued the BC Lions all season, overshadowing a remarkable performance on the field. Winning numbers on the scoreboard haven't been mirrored on the balance sheet. The team owes more than $600,000 in rent to BC Place Stadium. It's exhausted a $2 million line of credit from the province, and the team's total debt is much higher. Some wonder if the Lions can afford to return next year. But in the CFL, there are always optimists, such as this former player who says a new owner could turn the team around.
And a real businessman will come in there and say, okay, if you eliminate this much debt and we can raise fan support by 20%, we can operate as a viable franchise. And that's the way you have to look at it.
But that scenario depends on a buyer or the provincial government stepping in to wipe out the team's debt. So far, that hasn't happened. In the meantime, it seems as if there's more speculation about the future of the BC Lions than the outcome of tomorrow's game. Ian Hanamansing, CBC News, Vancouver.
Well, it's said there are cities that have football teams, and then there are football cities, places where the fortunes of the team are tied to the community's psyche, its sense of who it is. Winnipeg is a football city, but this year, even the Blue Bombers have had trouble filling seats, and the team's in trouble at the bank. But right now, there's absolutely no evidence that Bomber spirit may have lagged a bit in Winnipeg. Brian Yasui reports.
'Tis the day before Grey Cup, and all through the town, Bomber fever is stirring all around.
Can't wait for the big game.
Why is that?
Well, my daughter's down there cheering, and I've been a Bomber fan for decades, it seems.
This week, other Bomber fans rushed the team's souvenir shop. Sales were up by 50% over the previous busiest week. The city is displaying the sign it made after the last time the Bombers won the Cup back in '84. And the fever appears to be raging again. You even see it in banks.
Here we go, Bombers, here we go.
And this grocery store chain makes it possible to live, breathe, and eat the Grey Cup.
Bombers at least 14 points.
And bars know a good thing. For tomorrow's game, the Manitoba Liquor Commission has granted a record number of special permits, 130. Those permits allow the bars to sell booze on Sunday, providing its customers also buy a meal. This bar is getting in the spirit by serving Blue Bomber beer. It's, well...
Fabulous. Wonderful.
Isn't that carrying your support for the team a little far?
No, the Bombers are going to beat the BC Lions, and we're supporting it. So everybody's going crazy, getting ready, gearing up.
So you want to know what the Bombers are going to do to BC? We're going to eat them alive.
That spirit appears to be sweeping the city one day before the Grey Cup. The big blue bandwagon is once again loaded with fans for tomorrow's big game.
Shine on the Grey Cup.
I think this is a great thing for Ottawa. It's been 21 years since they've had the last Grey Cup, and I don't believe in just having it in dome stadiums. When you have weather like you have today, I can't see why other cities can't have a parade too.
But this was Ottawa's parade. Ottawa's Karen Harrison was cheered for winning the Miss Grey Cup title, while the Rough Riders mascot vented his feelings about the past season. Fans of the Western Riders showed up in force as well to kindle enthusiasm for next season. There were parade entries from across Canada and visitors who came a long way to watch.
Hi, Mom! Send money!
People perched just about anywhere for a good view. Police said there were at least 150,000 spectators, and what they saw was sometimes a bit overwhelming. Some things were underwhelming. These guys call themselves the intensely vigorous College Nine. Oh yes, there were football players too, and the football queens from both Grey Cup finalists. And everyone got a good look at Canada's favorite silverware and dreamed of having it engraved. Richard Ager, CBC News, Ottawa.
And the partying will probably go on into the wee hours of tomorrow morning. Coming up on CBC Weekend, Dom Martin will have the story in sport.
Together at the Grey Cup when CBC Weekend continues. Compact as the CFL, teams get used to seeing each other almost once a month. The BC Lions and Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who will meet tomorrow in the Grey Cup, have already met 4 times this season, each team winning twice. But tomorrow's get-together will have even narrower parameters for the Bombers' Tim Jesse and the Lions' Jeff Braswell, former teammates now facing each other across the line.
It is the Bombers' last real practice before Sunday's game, the last few minutes of it. The Lions are arriving for their later session when from under the grandstand runway comes a greeting from one player to his foe.
Hi, buddy!
BC's Jeff Braswell and Winnipeg's Tim Jesse were both with the Super Bowl champion Washington Redskins last year. Braswell during the NFL strike, Jesse during the regular season and playoffs. Teammates, but now opponents. Jesse has the ring. One you have to lift weights to be strong enough to wear. A ring with enough diamonds for every player on the football team and a few of his close friends as well.
I feel very honored to win too, because it would be the first probably that someone's ever did it back-to-back and really in the same calendar year.
Tim Jesse, stopped by Braswell, number 44.
It's going to be fun. I look forward to it. He's a lightweight running routes, but I look forward to it.
The matchup is key to both teams. The Bombers are going to try and run with Tim Jesse. The Lions are looking to Jeff Braswell to stop him. Your basic one-on-one matchup. Jesse looking for his second ring. Braswell just doing what the wife has told him to.
My wife, she told me I got to control myself. If I don't, I got to answer to her, so I control myself until game time.
What did she tell you about Sunday afternoon?
Get off, get paid, bring the bacon home. That's what I'm going to do.
So, maritally speaking, he's coachable. The forecast suggesting a 90% chance of rain, brisk winds, mild temperatures for the game itself. Countdown to kickoff starts at 1. The game underway at 3 here on CBC. 15 cameras, no waiting. Peloton